My past health history has been pretty spotty, I think. Judging from all of the different programs that I've ever tried, I've tried everything from every diet plan you can imagine, right? Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, you name it. The paleo diet, the low carb diet. I've done it all. Atkins, I've done them all. And the problem with it is that I was always trying to lose weight and get back to some optimal shape. But none of them actually really worked, only because I didn't find that over time anything was really sustainable. And then different things would happen where you would plateau, or I'd hit certain markers and then, just sit and nothing would ever happen. And it was extremely frustrating, super expensive, and certainly not something that I would ever even recommend to anybody at this point, even though the marketing around it is really amazing. And not until I actually met with you, Danny, that we actually went through our program on metabolic typing, and as difficult as it seemed to figure out at first, it's like anything else. Once you stick with it and you see the results that work, even in the short run, it just became easier and easier to do. And it's by far 100 times better as far as sustainability and results, and it's actual real results that have happened for me, including the weight loss, the normalizing of all my energy, certainly being able to sleep well, sleep through the night. And again, these were all issues that I had dealt with for years and years and years prior to doing any of this. And so at any point in time, because we're not educated on how your metabolic type works, the marketing around all of those other programs is just so massive. And then when you find that all kinds of people are doing it, and even though I have friends who are super obese, that they might get on a program like Weight Watchers and drop 50, 60 pounds, it's certainly not the right program for me, just like many of those other programs. But this is the only one that I found that actually, when I finally got all of my pieces in line, and it's always a work in progress for me, all of those things just started to change. Normalizing my thought patterns. I mean, I had no idea that my food was actually could affect the way that I actually thought, or how my thoughts would work during the day. And I would hit those days right in the middle of the day at work where my energy levels would drop, and I'd be at my desk just starting to nod off and not realize that it could have been that sandwich I had 2 hours before, but that's exactly what it was. But again, just trying to figure out very specifically what the foods were, where my supplements fell in place with all of that, and how all that really worked together, and really paying attention to what's really going on in my body, which is, no one's ever taught me to do that, and certainly not any doctors ever told me that or whatever. But I'm happy to report that I don't take any pills, any prescriptions or anything like that. There's no psychotropics or anything. There's none of that happens, and it's all due to this program. Clearly, everything seemed to really go into calorie restriction, and that was the whole purpose behind many of these, because I actually did start to spend a lot of time to really find out what was behind all of these things. But it's all about calorie restriction and making sure that, it's only common sense that if you don't eat, you're probably going to lose weight, I would imagine. But none of them really addressed certainly not the whole spectrum of what's really going on in your body, right? It was all really about what you put in and how much you lose because of it, or what you put in and how much you gain because of it. That's really what all those programs, they seem very one-dimensional. So nothing encompassed all of the aspects that I was looking for. I wasn't aware that I was looking for, but when you start to look at how it's all structured together in this whole metabolic typing program, it makes complete sense, because you may get a meal plan and an exercise plan for P90X, but realistically, when you look at something like that, and I'm not bashing that program, it's really not sustainable. And everyone that I know has done it and tried it might have success for a very short period of time, but you just can't keep going down that path. I have not seen it happen. So yeah, they're absolutely very one-dimensional. It's either a huge exercise program that has a very restrictive meal plan to it, or it's a very restrictive meal plan that says you need to go out and run more. Okay, that's great, but it didn't work for me. As I mentioned, in the initial side of it, on the outside, it seems really overwhelming, because who's ever really told you that you should really track those things? But again, it's not something that you end up doing, forever and ever and ever and ever, I would imagine. But with all of the tools that are available and the support that you give to assist in putting this whole thing together. And then again, being realistic and saying to me from the very beginning, hey, listen, you've got to start somewhere and you have to start slow, and it's not going to be easy. I find that as soon as somebody explains things to me on the front end that lets me know that this may not be, you don't have to implement every single thing right today, but you've got to start somewhere, then it puts you more at ease. But then it's all of the other tools that you have. It's the iPhone app, the iPad app, the video series, the being able to email you back and forth and ask questions as silly as some of them are. Then I know I ask a lot of silly questions, but it's better for me to really know. And again, it's not something that I was able to do with any of those other programs, because you may sign up for whatever program that is, some diet program, and get a web version that you can kind of track how many points you have, whatever. It's still not relevant, because a lot of the pieces it may not even center around the foods, right? It may have to do with, well, I'm feeling like this, or I'm not sure if I should be taking a little bit extra supplement for that or whatever. But because your program is all-encompassing and you've got all of those pieces together, then it makes it a lot easier. And thank God for the technology and the access that you give us to it, that it really allows this whole piece to really work together. Because it really is, the great thing about it is even the technology and all the videos and everything address far more beyond what I could probably even ask. And I'd rather have more information. I was actually on a couple different supplemental programs over the years, and everything from doing 1 or 2 meal replacement shakes during the day, and then taking a multi here and something to assist with your protein overload there. None of them, it just didn't work for me, because a lot of the times if I had an energy issue, whoever was asking me about that, working with me on that supplementation would say, well, here's an energy pill, you should just take that. And I'm like, that's not really something I want, and realizing that they may be just loaded with caffeine, and if I wanted caffeine, I'm not sure I needed a pill for it. But at least these supplements that are part of this program are very specific to my type. And I think what people don't realize is that we're not all the same type, and maybe, again, some of those other programs work for other people, but if it's not very specific to your specific type, again, the testing is extensive, there's a lot to do, but it's there for a reason, and it builds on my specific type, and I trust it. And because I've worked on it and have implemented those pieces, and I've seen the results, and people have said to me, wow, you look completely different, or you seem like you got more energy and all this other stuff, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, I can believe whatever I want, but I know that if my life has improved over the last 3 years, which it has, then why would I argue and try to go back and do this, or Weight Watch? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The supplements are a huge part of it, because again, they're very specific to my type, and the ability to continue to monitor which ones you do need and you don't need, or how you scale back or up, again, is who teaches you that kind of stuff? Well, you get it in this program. That's what it's all about.